Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of BacklogBusters. Today, we'll be driving against traffic, building up boost, and leaving our bodies behind to possess other drivers. In Driver San Francisco for the Xbox 360. So, this game was published by Ubisoft in 2011 for consoles and PCs, and it was developed by Ubisoft Reflections, who made 5 other driver games, which I've never played, some of the Just Dance games, the Division series, and the Watch Dogs series, and a lot of other stuff. First off, why did I play this game? Well, do you remember the Burnout series of games? They were super fast racing games where you drive into oncoming traffic, get near misses with cars, and you smash into other drivers just to increase your boost meter and drive even faster. I loved these games, and I was searching for something similar but available on PC to play portably on my Steam Deck. Side note, if y'all want to see a video focused just on the Steam Deck, definitely let me know. Well, in my search, I came across Driver San Francisco. It seemed to have the same boost meter filling, dangerous driving, and the ability to take down other drivers as you race. Plus, it seemed to have some weird ability to warp into other cars. Then I hit the bad news. Driver San Francisco launched on August 30th, 2011 on console, and September 27th of 2011 on PC. Then it was completely removed from all digital storefronts on December 9th of 2016, only 5 years after it was released. Now, if you own the game, you can still download it, but no digital stores currently sell it. So unless you find a DVD copy or you pay for a kind of sketchy gray market code from 11 years ago that may or may not work, there's no real avenue for this game digitally on PC right now. So, because I basically have no games on my backlog, I ran to eBay to grab a copy of the game for the 360. Had I lost sight of playing a Burnout type game on my Steam Deck? Yeah. But at this point, I just wanted to experience the game. Okay. With all of that out of the way, let's talk about the game. You play as a detective, John Tanner, who's joined by his partner, Tobias Jones, as they attempt to stop Jericho from breaking out of his prison convoy. I guess Jericho is a villain from the previous games. That seems to be what's implied here. Anyways, a woman with a rocket launcher blows up the convoy, Jericho escapes, and the detectives race after him, eventually getting hit by a big rig. Both detectives wake up confused as to why they're not injured at all, and shortly after, Tanner discovers that somehow he has the ability to hop into other drivers' minds, which allows you to drive their cars. As you play through the game, you unlock the ability to make any car boost, and any car use this special ramming ability. And the game is broken up into key missions, as well as a crazy amount of side quests if you want to spend more time with the game. With all that setup out of the way, let's get into the greats and not so greats. First off, Ghost Mode or Shift. The shift ability lets you possess other drivers and hop into their cars at any time. Now, you're probably wondering, like I was, how does this shift mechanic work in an actual race? Like, can you shift into a car that's currently in first place and just finish the race without driving yourself? Can you shift into opponents and drive them off the road or into a wall? What are the actual limitations here? Well, there are kind of 2 different scenarios in which shift is used most often. One is in 2-person races, where you and some AI partner work as a team to finish a race in first and second place specifically. These are really unique, but you basically end up playing catch up with one driver after another, as your AI partner inevitably falls behind. It's a cool feature to flip between the 2 drivers and basically play co-op by yourself, but does it work super well? Kind of. Is it fun? Sometimes yes. When the AI works perfectly and doesn't run straight into a wall or get overpowered by another car while you're not directly controlling it. But in most cases, I found this frustrating, although it is a really cool idea. But the number 1 use for shift mode is a little different than what I expected. What I discovered the more I played was the only real use for shift mode was to possess oncoming traffic and smash those NPCs into your opponents. Are you losing a race? Smash an NPC into them. Are the cops too aggressive? Smash an NPC into them. While it can be a bit repetitive, it's still very fun, and again, as with the 2-person races, it's super unique. You won't find this anywhere else. You'll be frantically searching for fire trucks, buses, 18-wheelers, anything bulky and large to stop your opponents. Now, for the next section, I struggled to come up with a name, and world building is kind of the best I could do for this specific great/notable thing I wanted to call out. When they first introduced this shift mechanic, I wondered if the possessee or passengers in the cars noticed you warping into their bodies. Well, the devs really went above and beyond to make that very clear, and it hovers between horrifying and funny.
Oh no, not another one of your episodes, Mother!
The best episode yet.
And when I was looking up details for this video, I came across a quote by Official Xbox Magazine UK. Ubisoft Reflections, Martin Edmondson, claims that in filling the world of upcoming Coma Racer, Driver San Francisco, his team have written more lines of dialogue than BioWare's space epic Mass Effect 2. And yeah, there's a lot of voice lines in here, which makes several things very clear very quickly. 1. The passengers usually aren't that weirded out by you shifting into the driver's body, and Tanner is horrible at this. He regularly spouts out lines like, "Who are you? Where are we going?" And he never just plays it cool in these situations to make it less confusing for the passenger.
Boom! Yes!
Keep it down, buddy. Just drive the cab.
Oh, right. Hi, I'm the driver.
Quit yapping and get me across town.
Well, to her, I'm just the same guy I always was. I mean, that he always was. Word. Whatever.
Even towards the end of the game, he never tries to just blend in, and these passengers should be way more concerned about how weird their friend is acting.
What the hell is happening to me?
You're an overworked ambulance driver, and it's called stress. Any more dumb questions?
Yeah. How the hell did I get here?
Just do what you've done for the past 8 years, and we can discuss the birds and the bees later.
Number 2, the passengers are generally terrified for their lives when you drive aggressively with them in the car. Some plead for you to be careful, others say they can't afford a car repair. One said if he gets one more strike, his parole officer will send him back to jail as you just fly through the streets, smashing into the cars, which brings us to our next point. Number 3, Tanner is awful. His whole strategy is to take helpless drivers and passengers, smash them headlong into his opponents. There's never a point where he seems concerned for the lives of these other people he possesses. The only instance where it seemed like he cared was where a woman that's been kidnapped is in the back of an open trunk of a small car. His partner insists that they can't slam directly into the rear of the car because that wouldn't be safe for her. So instead, you're required by the mission to smash cars into the front of the kidnapper's vehicle, with the woman still in the trunk that's open, and that solves it.
Well done.
Why, thank
The
you.
one thing never answered in any of the dialogue is what happens after a mission ends, with your whole goal to use NPCs as battering rams. What happens when you leave a body, and then they wake up, smashed into another vehicle? Are they arrested for driving into oncoming traffic? Who pays these hospital bills? What about the times where you shift out of someone and pick another car as that original car careens headfirst into a wall, or you're in mid-air going off a ramp as you just ghost out and leave them and never look back? These are questions I've never had in a Burnout game or any other racing game like this, and I have to give them credit. It's super unique. Terrifying to think about, and really dark, yes, but very unique. And some interactions are just so ridiculous you have to laugh. And then some made me feel terrible for using the power you're told to use this way.
I think I'm having a heart attack. Oops.
The next great is variety. I've already mentioned the two-person races, but there's also missions where you protect an armored car or something similar, and waves of attacking vehicles come for it, while you again smash helpless NPCs into them. Other missions have you escape the police, where you, a cop, assist someone in escaping the police. But sometimes you lock them into a tow truck at the end so they can be caught, and others you basically just finish a heist successfully. Another mission has you driving in first-person view while controlling a car in front of you. One of my favorite missions has you shifting into a set of aspiring street racers who do so well based on your possessions that they enter more races, and you have a whole set of missions where you bail them out of these races that they only entered because of your interference in the first place. Another mission type has you drive dangerously for a crazy driver's film crew, one time ending in just getting footage of a head-on collision between random NPCs.
Another day, another airbag.
And even worse, another time where you make a random NPC hit a cop car to start a police chase. Also, the film crew can get footage of a police chase ending in a big ramp. And what happens to this helpless person who is for sure going to jail for this? Who knows? Tanner shifts out, doesn't give it a second thought.
That's a wrap! And I smell awards. Best early evening low budget, people are stupid.
Granted, if you break it down, sure, you're always driving and you're usually smashing cars and NPCs, but the small and big twists on objectives does make for a pretty unique experience mission to mission, even if some of the missions aren't the most fun to play.
It's over, isn't it?
That's a fact, yeah.
Goodbye, college. Hello, corrupt family business.
For this next part, I'm not sure if this is in the great or not so great category. It's kind of towing the line here, and it's the story. The story is so cheesy, and I'm honestly not sure if it's just a joke or meant to be cheesy and ridiculous or not. All I can think is surely the devs intended it to be kind of tongue-in-cheek, because some of these voice
You
lines.
never handle any of the arachnids while I'm not there. What were you thinking?
I didn't know it could jump so far. I feel cold, real cold, and hot. And wow, you gotta see these colors.
The Congolese dream widow? A single bite means psychedelic brain warp, then coma. Only a shot of adrenaline can save you now.
So, Sergio, can't you feel it?
Feel what?
The poison I put in your cafe this morning?
Within the first hour, it's extremely clear that you are in a coma. This is not the real world, which is why you can possess drivers, boost and ram, and do all these things. With your newfound powers, you continue to hunt for Jericho while putting clues together in this weird mind palace with your partner. But to drive home my Tanner is awful point from earlier, he doesn't know he's in a coma and flat out ignores or doesn't see signs of that fact, even though it's painfully obvious, and he's hit over the head with that fact over and over, which means he thinks this is the real world. And yet, he still barrels NPC after NPC into other cars to complete the mission. If Tanner showed any awareness of the fact that no one's truly getting hurt in here, maybe it would be different. But as far as he knows, he's doing this to other citizens with no concern or remorse at all. And he thinks they're all real.
I didn't mean to hurt you. You have to believe me, sis.
Yeah, this sibling spat has been put on hold.
The story overall is really cheesy and silly, and honestly, I was mainly continuing through the story for the mission variety and because it's just a fun game to play. Now, there is some attempt at explaining everything towards the end, and there's some really cool car boss battles, I guess I'd say, to wrap up the story. I did not think this was a good story by any means, but was it kind of funny at parts, maybe unintentionally? Yeah. And does it set up some fun, different types of missions for you to play? Sure. But going on to the not so greats, let's talk about the AI. This was the number one source of frustration for me. The other racers. The difficulty felt all over the place for me, and honestly, I think it all came down to the AI. As the game goes on, the other racers become increasingly ruthless, and I would retry a mission 3 to 4 times, and then realize the only way to consistently win was to smash NPCs into the other racers. It felt like some events could not be won by racing alone, and you needed to completely wreck the other racers or else there'd be no way to compete. And sure, there's probably someone out there who never uses shift, still beats this game, no problem, but for me, it just felt like the only real option was to destroy the other racers and then easily finish the racer event. I had similar feelings about any event that would have you trying to escape the police, which again, as a cop, you're spending a lot of time helping others escape from the police. Anyways, sometimes you do one of these races and have 2 cops on you, lose them within the first 30 seconds and be done. And then sometimes you'd have 10 cops that come out of nowhere and swarm you until you get wrecked. And these could all be in the same exact mission. Maybe it's due to the open world, but escape missions seemingly would change for me drastically between different restarts with more or less cops. Ones you could never shake, and then ones that get stuck at the first turn you make. Sometimes these missions felt extremely inconsistent and frustrating. Those are all my main points for the greats and the not so greats. But what are my thoughts on the game overall, and should this be a game on your backlog? Honestly, I've been really conflicted about this one, and my gut tells me it's not a recommendation, and that it might not need to be on your backlog. But I think there's a lot of cool stuff here, and it's got unique things that I haven't seen other racers do. And all I can think is that I wish this team got another shot at a game like this, or gets one in the future, because it's weird and uneven, and the story is really, really cheesy, but it's got ideas that I would love to see expanded on and cleaned up. Even small things like the way they show the passenger and driver's faces in the top corners of the screen is a really smart way to show conversations, rather than just having empty voiceovers. Or the mini-map that's right at the top of your screen so that you can keep your eyes on the road ahead of you, and then expand it to see more at a glance, which prevents you from having to look in the bottom left to right of the screen like it is on most racers. I guess overall, does this need to go on your backlog? Probably not. I just don't think it's a must play, and I don't think it's for everyone. But if you are looking for some arcadey fun that's filled with unique ideas that are a little rough around the edges, I do think it's worth playing, and I had a really fun time with it. Now, if you are looking to pick it up, again, unless Ubisoft brings it back from the dead and relists it on digital storefronts, which would be great, looking for a used physical copy is about the only way to play this game right now, and they aren't too expensive currently, or at least when I checked last. But that's it for this episode of Backlog Busters. Have you played Driver San Francisco? What did you think? Is it a must play in your book? Does it deserve to be on others' backlogs? Please let me know in the comments below. I'd love to talk about it. And if you want to get alerted whenever I get done editing my next video, please subscribe and don't forget to hit the bell icon. Speaking of my next video, I recently played through Persona 4 Golden. I also have been playing through the Tony Hawk games and the Mega Man Zero games, as well as the Ace Attorney franchise. So if y'all are interested in any of those, please let me know in the comments below and I'll prioritize making a video about one of those. But with all that said, thank you for watching and see you in the next video.